Hello, friends. So, today we are totally changing gears and we're going to be working on something brand new. Okay? We're going to be telling time, but we're telling time in 5-minute intervals. Okay? So, don't worry, it's really not as hard as it sounds, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do it. But before we start worrying about the 5-minute intervals, I want us to refresh our brains on being able to tell time to the hour and half hour, like we learned quite a bit ago. Okay, so let's try to do that first since we haven't really done it in quite a while. I think once we get going, you're going to start to remember, oh, I know how to do this. Okay, and it's going to be a good little review. But let's do that first. So let's talk about what we remember with the clock. Okay, there's two hands on the clock, and they're called the hour and the minute hands. Okay, the hour hand is the shorter hand. Okay, the hour hand is the shorter hand. We remember that the hour hand is the shorter hand because hour is a shorter word than minute. There's only 4 letters an hour. That's how we always used to remember it. Okay, however you want to remember it, you can do. That's how we talked about it before. Okay, so that means that the minute hand is the longer one. Okay, the minute hand is this longer hand right here. And minute is a longer word than hour. Okay, the minute hand tells us how many minutes past the hour we are. So let's look at this clock that we have right here. Okay, the hour hand is pointed to the 3. So if I'm going to write that time like I would on a digital clock, I'm going to start off by making a 3. The first thing you want to look at when you tell time is where the hour hand is pointing. And then that's the first thing you're going to say. So 3. 3 what? See, when the minute hand is on the 12, that's a special time that we talk about. Does anybody remember how we would say that time when the minute hand is on the 12? I'll give you a second to think back. What do we say? 3 what? Are you ready? We say 3 o'clock. So right now, this clock says 3 o'clock. And if we were to write that on a digital clock, we would put our 3 and then o'clock is just 2 zeros. Not sure why. Oh. There we go. Okay. So 3 o'clock, and that's what it would look like on a digital clock. These don't look like zeros, but those are 2 zeros. So 3 o'clock. Let's try one more, or let's try a couple more, okay? So we're going to look at our hour and our minute hand. So our hour hand is on the 8. Our minute hand is still on the 12, so it's 8 o'clock. And then if I'm going to write that, I would write my 8 and then my 2 zeros. 8 o'clock. What's this one? What hand is the smaller hand pointing to? The smaller hand is pointing to the 4. And we look at the smaller hand first, and then we look for the minute hand. So 4, and now look for our minute hand is on the 12. Sorry, you guys, I'm not sure why this keeps being weird. Okay, so 4, and then our minute hand is on the 12, so we say 4 o'clock. What about this one? Our hand is on the 7. Minute hand is on the 12. So would I say 7:00? No, I would say 7 o'clock. Ooh, what about this? Hmm. If we look closely, we see our hour and our minute hand are both on the 12. So what in the world do I do now? Well, let's just take it step by step like we normally would. What number is the hour hand pointing to? It's pointing to the 12. So that's what we write first because that's what we see it as, 12. And then the minute hand is on the 12, and what do we do when the minute hand's on the 12? What would we normally do? We would say o'clock. So it's the same exact thing. Now it's just 12 o'clock. Okay, so now let's look at this. So now we're gonna talk about what happens when our minute hand is on the 6. Okay, so let's take a look. If we take a look at the whole entire clock, from 12 all the way around, 6 is halfway. So our minute hand right now started on the 12 and it's traveled halfway around the clock, right? Started at the 12 and then it traveled all the way to the 6. So it's halfway around and it still has halfway more to go. Okay? Let's take a look at our hour hand. If we're looking at our hour hand, it is halfway past what number? It's halfway past the 3. Okay? And it has traveled halfway to the 4. It's half past 3, and then it still has the other half to go until it gets to the 4. Okay? So let's talk about how we would say this time. Does anybody remember how we would write this time as we would on a digital clock, or even how we would say it? There are 60 minutes in an hour. 60 whole minutes. Okay? Our minute hand has traveled half of those minutes. So how many minutes has it gone? What is half of 60? 30, right? So our minute hand is on the 30. Basically, okay, it's gone halfway across the clock. So it's traveled 30 minutes so far. Whoopsies. It's traveled 30 minutes so far. So we're going to write how we would on a digital clock. I'm not going to write the hour yet because we haven't talked about that yet. But it's something 30. What do we write for the hour when it's halfway between the 3 and the 4? We write the last number it went by. Okay, so it has not reached the 4 yet. We cannot write a 4 in the hour place because it has not reached the 4 yet. It has still only gone past the 3. So it would be 3:30. Or we could say half past 3, right? The hour hand has traveled halfway past the 3. So when you move a clock, do you notice when you move the hour hands, the minute hand goes too. So if we were to move this hand all the way back to the 3, we can see right now it's 3 o'clock. That's how we would say it. The minute hand is on the 12, hour hand is on the 3, but when the minute hand moves halfway across the clock, our hour hand does too. So it's half past 3. Let's try a couple more. So if we are looking closely at our clock, our hour hand is halfway past the 1, right? It has not yet reached the 2. It's halfway past the 1. So that means our minute hand must be pointing at the 6. So right now this time is 1/2 past 1. Or we would write it 1, how many minutes? It went halfway across, halfway around. There's 60 whole minutes, so it's half of 60, 30. So this time says 1:30. Let's look at this one. Our hour hand is halfway past the 9. So we would say this time is 9:30. Or if we're going to write it, we would say 9. What's our minutes? How many minutes of this hour has it been? It has been 30 minutes of the hour. Okay, not 10, because if you look, our hour hand has not yet reached the 10. We're still in the 9. And we'll do one more. Do it just as if you would a normal one. Let's take a look. We're going to look at our hour hand first. What is the last number our hour hand passed? The last number it passed. You can draw a line. The last number it passed was 12. Okay? And what about our minutes? Let's take a look. Our minute hand is pointing to the 6. Half of 60 minutes is 30. So 12:30 is the time.